The sorry about all the paper, as Tammy said, that we typically will have our presentations out on their website, and you can choose to print or not print or whatever the presentation. We don't always have this many things either, but this is kind of to get you all caught up with the information that we provide to county auditors and treasurers, and so there is some organization to this pile of paper here that I will go through. But first of all, the first thing I want to bring to your attention is that there is an auditor state information sheet that has listed Auditor Barry's contact information, my contact information, and the two people that I cannot do my job without, Janie and Brenda, their contact information. The second handout that I have given you is titled Commonly Used Acronyms. It has page 1 of 2 on the front, and so it's double-sided. This handout comes from a few years back from a new county auditor in a critique of my describing things to you all, and I never really thought about it or realized it that when you work with all this stuff so much, these acronyms you I guess you tend to assume everybody knows what you're saying, and that you all learned this when you were hatched, but that didn't happen, We learned this along the way, and he was very, very pointed with his criticism, and rightly so, that I have no idea what you're talking about when you say coet and cadget and seated and da 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 da. And I said, you're right. If you've never had any background with any of this, you wouldn't know what those things mean. So we created this handout to give to new auditors and treasurers as a kind of a kickstart, as these are some of the more commonly used acronyms. There are many more, and if I ever use one that you do not know what I mean by the acronym, you just simply ask me. You don't sit there or talk to me with the question and not ask, just what do you mean by that? What's that acronym stand for? So, but these hopefully will get you kind of a kickstart for those who are new to this, to all of this business. And before we're done here this morning, I am going to ask you, I know you've done this probably numerous times, that you're going to introduce yourselves to me so that I can sort of start putting a face to a name. There are very, very many familiar faces out there, but there's certainly some new faces. So, but the next handout I want to go through is labeled State Payments to Counties. It's a stapled together 3 pages. They're actually, or 2 pages. It's double-sided, but this we provide to you to give you some basis of understanding how the payments that we process and send out to counties, how that process works, and the whole process for paying money out begins at at each state agency level, and we in the Auditor State's Office with our Accounts Payable Department, we do actually do the processing and create the checks or the EFT or ACH note payments or deposits, I should say, but the actual supporting documentation for those payments resides at the agency that initiated the payment. This list of payments are payments that are initiated by the Auditor of State's Office, and more particularly the Settlement Department. The Settlement Department in the Auditor of State's Office is a little bit unique, or it's certainly different than the other departments within the Auditor of State's office. When it comes to paying money and processing those things and like, we function more like a separate state agency. And so we actually have the supporting documentation. We kick off the information to the Auditor of State's Accounts Payable Division, just like any other state agency, and our payments go through there. So when I say these are Auditor of State initiated payments, they're actually specifically initiated by the Settlement Department in the Auditor of State's office. Now, we do have another division in our office who pays vendors that we do business with in the Auditor of State's office, such as for supplies and the like. But for these payments outside to counties, cities, and towns, those start with the Settlement Department. The form of payment to county auditors and treasurers is currently all of the counties are on ACH deposits. The payments due are deposited electronically in the county's designated bank accounts. You as new treasurers, if you're going to change the bank account that you want those monies to be deposited to, then you need to contact me or Brenda or Janie, and we'll get you what you need to be able to get that accomplished and changed. Unless we get a change, then whatever bank account is designated now as the account to which we deposit the payments, that'll continue, and there's really nothing you need to do unless you're going to change it. And so that'll continue on. This list here is maybe not quite all encompassing. I think it's darn close, and it'll describe the payments. On the payments that come out of the Settlement Department and to you on that ACH deposit, there is an ACH notification that gets emailed and will be emailed to you. There again, just like with the bank account, if you want to, and you most likely will need to, change who is receiving the email notifications, once again, you need to contact Brenda or Janie or me immediately and get with us so that we can get those email addresses changed so that those notifications go to the right people. But the notification itself that is emailed to you will give you the name of the bank, the account information is blanked out. The notification will tell you the day of the deposit, and of course, obviously, it'll tell you the amount, and there'll be a description as to what the payment is. That's true with the payments from the Settlement Department. It's sometimes not so necessarily true with payments that initiate from some other state agencies. We're trying to get them to understand better that they need to use that, what we call the remittance message, better. We've made some progress. We're not entirely all the way there. So if you get an ACH notification and it's either has no description, or if it has a description, it does not make any sense. Sometimes some state agencies think that it helps if they put on there a code that's only meaningful to them. I don't know why. But if you get any of those situations, then contact us, contact Janie, Brenda, or I, and we'll help you figure out what's going on and what it is, and put you in touch. Trying to think of what else. And yes, please.
Is there any way those notifications can be sent out separately if there's different bank account numbers? I'm always getting the clerk's notification on the same notification with the deposit from my account.
The answer is, short answer is no. Uh, the, the described answer is that we have a single vendor number for the county, and then within that vendor number, we'll have divisions of the treasurer, clerk, and then those email addresses are at that single vendor number. Yeah. Don't like the answer, I know. I can't promise you always like my answers, but that's the answer, at least today. And the other thing that can occur and will unfortunately will occur at times is that you'll get a deposit to your bank account, and you will not have received an ACH notification by email, and you obviously need to contact us about that because we've got an email address problem somehow or another, and we'll track that down. So and part of the description on these payments describes the frequency. You'll note that some of the distributions are monthly. You'll also note that there are certain distributions that are only sent to specific counties, and so that's included here. As I mentioned a moment ago, that whenever you have a question about a payment, that you can contact us and we'll assist. You can also go, and as I mentioned earlier, the payments process originate at what I like to call the initiating agency, and so on that ACH notification, there will be what is called a business unit. And business units, it refers to state agencies. And so if a payment, the business unit of the payment or initiator will be on that ACH. So if the initiator number is 00050, that's auditor of state. The next handout I want to bring to your attention doesn't really have a title, but it's in really small print, and it's what we call our contact list. It has in the first column business unit, second column has business unit name, and then it has a contact name and title and phone number and email address. So if you receive a payment and it has as the business unit 00230, then that is a payment that originated at the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. And to get an answer as to what the payment is, it's going to be happen much quicker if you just contact that agency directly, and because that's what we'll have you do. And so while we don't mind getting emails or phone calls and talking to you, we will have to direct you to that agency because we won't have an answer for you. So you can go directly to the agency by using the contact list, and they should be able to answer your question. And if you think that particular payment should have had a better description, tell them that. Tell them, why didn't you just simply put on there that this is such and such, and because between you and us, we'll get there with the descriptions on the payments. But this we update as there are changes, and we put this out on our website for you. Now, I keep talking about contacting us and all. Now, the contact is back to that very first handout. There's that contact list. Those are the ways to contact us. Plus, also, it has on here the web address for our website, and under the auditor and departments and settlements is where we publish a lot of information, as you will learn over time. The next handout that I have for you is titled, it's on letterhead, on Tim's letterhead, titled Motor Vehicle Highway Distribution Formula. As county auditor and working with county commissioners, the motor vehicle highway distribution, or better known as MVH, and the local road and street distribution, known as LRS, and then the MVH1 and MVH2, which are the motor vehicle highway accelerated 1 and 2 distributions. Those are hot topics with county commissioners, and many times you may hear that the commissioners or even council will say that we have no idea how they come up with the money that they send us. Well, over the years, we've handed this description out many times, but they'll still say that. So I give this to new auditors and treasurers. Hopefully you'll be interested just in knowing this information. But I give this to new auditors so that the first time that you hear that from your county commissioners, you can look good and say, I can tell you how they determine the money. And so this is a description of that. Those distributions, MVH and LRS, they are distributions that are sent out monthly, and every month we process those distributions on the first business day of the month, and sometimes that continues into the second business day, but we start the process on the first business day. And then the 2 days after that is when the money, 2 business days after that is when the money is in your bank account. So that's a rule of when I was mentioning earlier about that you didn't get a notification of a deposit. That's when you should be looking, is that either the night of the first business day, or at least by the night of the second business day of the month, we should have been emailing a notification of the deposit for that money. If by the end of if by that second day, you know when you got to work on the third business day, you didn't have an email notification, then that's when you might want to fire an email off to us to say, was there a distribution? And we can quickly tell you that, yes, there was. And so then we know that there was a problem with the notification getting to you, and we need to figure out why. Or we'll tell you, no, there wasn't. We encountered a problem. We also typically, if it gets beyond the second business day, we'll send out a mass email telling you all that we've encountered a problem and that there's going to be some delay. We had to do that, unfortunately, here a couple months ago. I wasn't a happy camper because it wasn't our agency that caused the delay. But anyway, that rule is true for every month except for July. In July, we are at the beginning of July closing the books for the fiscal year into June, and we can't begin that process until we've made certain that all the revenues for the fiscal year have been posted, and so that process is typically delayed by about 5 to 7 days. So July is always a little later. And but all the other months that's our routine, and the most important thing is we're talking business days, and so if we process, let's take today for example. If we process money today, meaning that we're working to process, we've submitted it to the accounts payable department, and it's met all the approvals, and it's going to be processed tonight to create these ACH deposits. The actual deposit in your account occurs 2 business days later. And so today's business would be in your account on Friday. Tomorrow, Thursday, it would be Monday. And so just to give you an idea of how it works, it's 2 business days. Not that you're particularly concerned today, but this month, because of some unforeseen budget problems, we didn't get the first of the month on MVH and Roden Street processed until yesterday. And so that happened yesterday. The money's going to be in the bank account tomorrow. But this is something that, as county auditors, it's good for you to know how we calculate the motor vehicle highway and local road and street. As you read this, you'll see that it's a little less than a straight shot to that end. There are several different steps along the way, but most particularly with MVH, the hot topics are that the motor vehicle highway money is determined by taking the revenues that are listed on this handout minus the expenses listed on this handout to come up with what we call the amount available. And so it's not simply a distribution of taxes. The MVH distribution is many, many times referred to on the local level as the gas tax distribution. If you read these revenue sources, you can soon see that it's much more than just gas tax. There are several revenues involved. And then if you look at the expenses that are deducted, well, you can see it's not simply just not simply a distribution of revenue. It's actually a distribution of the net revenue after we've deducted expenses. A hot topic with the MVH is the fact that a portion of the state police expense is deducted out of these revenues before the distribution is calculated, and that's a very hot topic, and I expect that to be another hot topic with this coming legislative session. There has been a lot of work and study going on about what can be done to get some more money to local and state highways for roads. The other hot, and combined with state police, you can see as the second to last expense listed is the forensic science or forensic and health science laboratory expense. A lot of folks consider that to be a new item. It's not really, it was under the state police before. They just split it out now for whatever reason. And then the local road and street, which is the third page, that formula, that is more of a distribution of revenues. There are no expenses that we deduct. Once we've determined the revenue amount for the month, we take those revenues and allocate it between the state highway and the county, cities, and towns. The complicated part of this distribution comes in play with the fact that the formula is different depending on the population of the county, and so we have 2 different formulas that are in play that apply to counties based on the total population of the county. The last distribution described in this handout, or last 2, are the motor vehicle highway accelerated 1 and 2 formulas, and those that this handout describes the revenues. The revenues are basically the first $25 million of gas tax and the first $25 million of special fuel tax that are collected in the state fiscal year are distributed under these formulas rather than under the other regular MVH and local road and street. So consequently, these two distributions only occur in the month of August and September because after those first $25 million of each is collected, then the money flows through the other two formulas. And this distribution came about as most of the changes in distributions with highway funds that have occurred over the years. These came about when there was a general increase in the fuel tax back in the early 80s, and also true with local road and street. That distribution came about back in 1969 when there was a increase in fuel taxes and in license and title fees. And so they took those increases and distributed them under a different formula. The next handout to discuss is the county auditor's reports and filings with the auditor's state.
Dan,
Yes, sir.
are all the distributions based upon car registration, or do they finally get for vehicle registration?
Yeah, that's a good question. The motor vehicle highway, the portion of the motor vehicle highway money that is allocated to counties, that they, first of all, the money allocated to cities and towns is distributed to cities and towns entirely on population basis. For counties, the amount allocated to counties, which is 32% of the amount available, that 32% is divided into three different buckets, if you will. 5% of the money is distributed equally, so each county gets 1/92 of that money. The 65% of it is on road mileage basis, and that's for the county road miles. And those road miles are what we call linear miles, not lane miles, meaning that a 4-lane road counts the same as a 2-lane road. And then the 30% on vehicle registrations, I've got, this is on the bottom of the second page, 30% on vehicle registrations, and I've got underlined total because your question is one that comes up many times. The vehicle counts used for this allocation are all vehicles, everything from a motorcycle to a semi-tractor. The local road and street is where your question comes into play. Under the local road and street formula, which is on page 3 of this handout, once we have taken the revenues that were listed above, the 25% of the gas and 25% of special fuel and the 1969 increase in the vehicle registration title fees. Once we have taken those revenues and divided them out, 55% to NDOT and 45% to county, cities, and towns, that 45% amount we then allocate to each county, and the allocation basis for that is passenger cars registrations. So that's where the question about vehicle registration comes into play. It only comes into play with local road and street, and passenger car registration only passenger car registrations only are used to calculate that first allocation. And then once we have 92 separate pots of money, if you will, then we take each county's pot of money and we divide it up based on the total population of the county. So if you're a county that has a population of more than 50,000, then we're going to allocate that pot of money between the county and the cities and towns in that county. We're going to allocate it 60% on population and 40% on road and street mileage. And then if you're a county that is population of 50,000 or less, then it's 20% on population and 80% on road and street mileage. So the passenger car question is only in play with local road and street. Mhm. It's a very common question. Yes, ma'am. County auditor reports and filings with the auditor state. This handout is to give you an idea of the types of reports and filing and remittances they're going to be sending us. One of the items that is with the judge's supplemental report. Hopefully this will already have been taken care of by the end of this year for you. If not, then one of the first things in January you need to do is file with us this report. What this report is for is that most county councils elect to supplement the judges' salaries, and judges' salaries are paid by the state through state payroll, and their total salary is paid by the state, including the supplemental amount, and then the county pays to the state quarterly that supplemental amount plus the Medicare taxes on that. And so those reports and remittances are due to us at the beginning of each quarter. The county highway engineer affidavit, most counties have employed a licensed engineer as a full-time county highway engineer, and as county auditor, you file with our office an affidavit stating that, along with a copy of the pay stub for that particular engineer as evidence that the engineer is being paid by the county. And then for a full-time county highway engineer licensed in Indiana, the state pays to the county $20,000, and we make that payment to counties in April. So you need to send that affidavit to us so that we know to pay your county that money. If you happen to hire an engineer, if you don't initially have an engineer and you hire one during the course of the year, you need to go ahead and send an affidavit to us at the time that the engineer is hired, because we'll send you a prorated share of the $20,000, or vice versa. If your engineer discontinues employment with the county and you don't replace the engineer immediately, then with another licensed engineer, then the county's owed, and you've been paid the $20,000, then the county owes back to the state a prorated share of the $20,000. The next item is the abstract of property taxes. This hopefully will be something you're going to be doing as county auditor very soon after you start office. And there's another handout here pertaining to that I'll go over here in a moment. Fines and forfeitures you receive from the county clerk and the clerk's court, other courts. You'll receive from them fines and forfeitures on a monthly basis that is to be remitted to the state on May and November. That's a pretty simple report and process. You might want to ask, why do they need to send that to us? Why don't the clerks just send it directly to us? Well, you may be getting this from other courts than just the county clerk, if you have courts that city and town courts. Covered bridge certification, the state pays to the county for covered bridges in the county, and that report is due to us on June 15th. And I have to admit, it's escaping me right now what the per bridge amount is. You can tell I don't hands-on do this one. I think it's 1850, but whatever the amount is. Is it? Okay, thank you, Colleen. And so that's a certification that's due to the county. This auditor settlement fines and fees report and remittance, this is only used if if you as county auditor are not going to have the settlements filed, the June settlement by the end of June or December by the end of December. There are a handful of different fines and fees that are remitted as part of the settlement process. The property tax settlement filing, June and December. That's the big activity going on right now with the county treasurers and auditors, and there's a whole group of workbooks that we've developed that for county treasurers and auditors to complete to do that settlement process, and that's some of those workbooks, Excel workbooks, have made me about the most unpopular person on the planet. But they got to be done, and I was going to list all those, but I thought, why list those? You'll learn what all those are soon enough. But and then also part of the settlement process, there are some excise tax allocations that are made that are remitted to the state as part of settlement. Those excise tax allocations came about when the state assumed the welfare funds, the property tax funds for welfare and social services, and then also when the state assumed the school general fund and preschool education funds. Then that created a process of taking a portion of the excise tax and sending that to the state for that part that would have been sent to the school and to the county for those welfare funds. The next handout is for the payments to Auditor of State by ACH. I talked a moment ago about how we send payments to you by the ACH, the Automated Clearinghouse, which is one of the forms of electronic funds transferring, and and so we also now have the capability of you sending to us money that is to be remitted to the state by ACH. And this here memo, I thought this would be the best way to introduce you to that, is just to provide you a copy of the memo that we sent out back when we made this first available last year, and we're not getting a lot of takers on this yet. But hopefully that will increase as time goes on. But if you're interested, if your county isn't already sending money to us by ACH, then please let us know if you're interested. We have a form that you can use that has our bank account information, our routing information, and all of that. If you have your own form, or if your bank has your own form, their own form for us to complete, you would just send that to us. And so the next handout, hopefully you'll be interested in taking advantage of that. And that will and this describes what you can send to us and what you can't. Obviously, and to kind of describe it in a nutshell, the money that is to be remitted to the settlement department by the county that is currently being done by check can be done by ACH. Money that you owe some other state agency, you can't send to us. You got to get with that state agency. Next handout is a legal size handout. At the very top, it has LOIT, LOIT. That's one of those acronyms. It's on that acronym description that stands for Local Option Income Tax. This is a handout I did a few years ago because back in 2007, was the big year where there was a great expansion of local option income taxes and expansion of what counties could adopt those taxes to accomplish as far as financing government and government services and providing property tax relief and at the time that came about, the term Lowit was broadly used, widely used, still used, and still confuses the poop out of a lot of people. Because if you pick up an Indiana code book and go to look for the statute on how I'm going to adopt a Lowit, you ain't going to find it because it's not there. You'll find one for Cadget, County Gross Adjusted Income Tax. You'll find one for COIT, County Option Income Tax, and you'll find one for CEDAT, but you will not find one for Lowit. But Lowit is the term that is used when you're wanting to discuss all three of these local income taxes collectively. You know, if you're just talking about it in general, Lowit's the term you should use or would use. But there are specific types. So this was designed this way with Lowit at the top to with the line to indicate that that's the umbrella that's for all of the different local income taxes. Then along one side we have Cadget, along the other side we have COIT, side by side, compare, contrast. And it's formatted this way intentionally because you either have Cadget or you have COIT. You can't have both. It's one or the other. And believe me, people before you have already decided which one you're going to have. So it's not up for vote now. But then CEDA's at the very bottom in the middle, centered in the middle, to indicate that CEDA can be adopted by either a Cadget or a COIT county. You can have Cadget and CEDAT, or you can have COIT and CEDAT, or you can have only CEDAT. So these give you the IC codes, give you a brief description of what each, the difference, like I said, comparing, contrasting, like who adopts or who can adopt the tax or adopt increases or decreases and so forth, and gives you the Indiana code sites that while you may not want to, and it certainly isn't the most exciting reading ever, you do, I think, as auditor especially, you do need to take a stab at reading Indiana code sites and take a stab at trying to understand what is being said in legislative language and read through there. But that'll give you the code sites to go look at, and then you'll see that you'll read the code site and then you'll look at this and okay, that's what it means in English, you know. But the last handout, well, no, second to last handout I have is also dealing with Lowit. This is the 2012. I will soon be updating this for 2013. What this handout is two-sided. It on the one side, what I think of as the front side, it has the county Lowit adoptions. And the X's indicate those are the types of different local option income taxes that each county has adopted. You'll see that some counties have adopted only one. Some counties have adopted 5 different types, and there may be a 6. I don't know. I think 5 is the max that anybody has. But anyway, you can see what your county has. This is basically, I don't expect a lot of changes to this for 2013. Hancock County did a few things. Other than that, I'm not aware of. But some of these changes, like changing the way the property tax relief and such is going to occur, can happen at the county level, and we not get notified of it until I send this out for the county auditors to review and see if it is correct. And they tell me that, no, we quit homestead and we got PTRC now, or so forth. Yes, ma'am.
I did notice on our county, our percentage is 3.114, and it's 3.5 on here. So where would I find out what has changed? Is there a website?
Which county are you?
Jasper.
Okay. Depends on which one it is. If it's one of those that can happen at the local level and we not really know about it, okay, you're talking about the total. The out on the state budget agency local option income tax certification for 2013, there will be a worksheet that will have the rates. Okay. I was hoping to have the 2013 one done before today, but it just didn't happen. The one thing is counties can, as you look on this other sheet, you can see they have till up to November 1st to be able to adopt changes, and we're scrambling in December to try to figure out if anybody did and what they did. And, the last one of the handouts is the abstract chain of events. This abstract, property tax abstract, is something that will be one of your first big projects. As far as the Auditor State's Office is concerned, you're going to have many other big projects when you start annual report and a few other items, but the property tax abstract is the first big exchange between our office and yours as county auditor, and that's going to occur. And this, I've provided this for you today to give you an idea of how that comes about. The abstract itself is once again an Excel workbook. It has macros, it's menu driven, and we have a manual that will you use to help complete this. Plus, your property tax software vendor will be lots and lots of help with this, and so you won't be out there on your own. There's going to be lots of us to help you. We have a manual for the abstract. We have manuals for the settlement, and so that's one thing I want to mention real quick is, let me look at my notes here. The one of the things as auditor treasurer you need to learn is who in the office has the access to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles FTP site. That's the depository of information for the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and their reports and such, which is very important for you with the motor vehicle excise and watercraft and other excise monies that are going to be hitting your bank account right away, and the reports for the county auditor to use to allocate it. But also, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles FTP site is a site where we use to put information out there for you for settlement and abstract, and that's actually where we place these workbooks that I was talking about for the settlement and this workbook for the abstract. That's actually where we place that at because we had so much trouble with emailing those, with the size of these workbooks. Some of them are pretty large, and they were not making it to the county because of the size. And so we then piggybacked onto the Bureau of Motor Vehicles FTP website. Another thing I want to give you a heads up for, soon after the first of the year, we will be sending out to you a information form, contact information for your office, and who we should contact for different subjects and just information in general. It's please complete that and send that back to us so that we can get our database updated as to when we need to contact the county, who's the best person to contact for abstract or claims, or for the treasurer, who's the best person to contact for the cash book and other things. And obviously we need your information, your email address, because we do a lot of communicating with email. That's our main, we don't mail anything. We email, if we send a memo out, we email it. Other items of a general nature, we put out on our website, and we will tell you that it's there. Or we'll put it on the Bureau of Motor Vehicles FTP site, and we'll tell you it's there.